Why comedy movies died.
Ed for the past decade, which is especially depressing because Hollywood stopped making funny movies when we needed them the most. The past 10 years have been some of the most chaotic and divided times in modern history. Politics taking over literally everything, cost of living skyrocketing, and people spending hours online.
Yeah, politics made a huge debut the past few years, bro. Everybody realizing like how fucked up everybody in this world is, and everybody have their different perspectives, and that's okay, but a lot of people cannot handle that for some reason. I don't know why they're so worried about other people's life and other people's opinions. Won't care if you think differently than me, bro. Like I'll hear you out, you know, we have a conversation about it and tell you how I feel about it, but I don't care.
Doom scrolling an infinite feed of bad news. If there was ever a time we needed to collectively sit in a theater and just laugh at something stupid, it's now. But it wasn't always like this. During the 90s and early 2000s, we were getting multiple hilarious comedy films each year. I bet you forgot how stacked the year 2004 was. Anchorman, White Chicks, Dodgeball, Mean Girls, Napoleon Dynamite, all in the same year. If we got one movie as funny as any of these...
I barely watch any of those movies, low-key. Like, those type of movies, I can't find them funny. I can't. Scary movie, never found that funny. None of them. The movies were good. You know, some of the scenes were funny, you know, cut me like a little. that's it. That's all they got for me. I never busted out dying laughing watching scary movies or some of those movies they presented. White Chicks, it was a good movie, but I didn't die laughing like how everybody else is saying that they're dying laughing at the movie. I don't know. It's not my top. I don't know.
In the past 5 years, we would be grateful, but this isn't even just an opinion. The data doesn't lie. 2016 was the official point of no return for comedy films. In that year, comedies made up about 12% of the domestic box office and pulled in $1.1 billion. Just 1 year later, their share was nearly cut in half to 7%, with gross revenue dropping to $790 million, making it the single biggest one-year collapse on record. After that, it was all downhill. 2022 was particularly abysmal, with the entire genre of comedy grossing
2023, they went crazy though with the 1 billion. It went right back to 1 billion. What comedy movies released in 2023?
$159 million. That is an entire year of movies that gross less than just what The Hangover did in 2009. So what happened to comedy films after 2016? Well, there are a few things we have to consider, but it all boils down to one major reason. And today we are going to discuss everything, starting with how Hollywood lost the creativity that we used to see in small...
It's bad. Like, it's gotten so bad for some movies, like Marvel and all that. They also lost some creativity. It also comes down to games as well. They lost a lot of creativity. It's so much more about the quantity, way more than the quality. They're trying to just push out everything that they can, like they're a social media page. No, you don't need to do all that. Take your time, but don't take too long. You know,
medium and high budget comedy films. The beauty of comedy is that it's boundaryless. Unlike drama, kind of action, or even horror, it doesn't really need to play by any established rules. A comedy can start with literally anything: a talking animal, a man stuck in a time loop, a dodgeball tournament, a pair of clueless detectives, and turn it into a creative masterpiece. The premise doesn't have to be realistic. It doesn't even have to make any sense. As long as it's funny, it works. Take Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, for example. What a unique concept. A private investigator who specializes in finding lost animals and solves crimes through pure chaos and speaks almost entirely in one-liners. At one point, he's literally crawling out of a rhino's ass. Then again, Jim Carrey was kind of a cheat code for 90s comedies. Films like The Mask and Liar Liar showcased his ability to immerse us into the most ridiculous plots imaginable.
Legendary actor, bro. He is actually a funny ass actor. Well, one of my favorites, actually. Top five for me.
Carrey had this cartoon-like elasticity. He could bend and contort his face and body, which made even the dumbest scenes or dialogue unforgettable. Or what about Dumb and Dumber, which is literally just a movie about two dumbasses?
You go straight ahead and you make the left over the bridge.
I haven't watched this movie in so long. Oh my god, I barely remember these.
Accent you have. New Jersey?
Austria.
Austria? Well then, good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
I always found myself gravitating towards films that had insanely unrealistic plots. The kind of movies where the world they're in doesn't follow society's rules or any rules at all. When there's no logic to be broken and the possibilities are endless. Like, literally anything can happen. The Hangover took this concept to the absolute maximum. At its core,
Yes, bro. They did everything they can to make this movie chaotic as fuck.
it's just a bachelor party gone wrong. Something that in real life might just
Like, we be cops or something like that. Two dudes pretending to be cops, bro. Nothing made sense, but it was funny. I
with
love
a
that
bad
movie.
hangover and some embarrassing photos. But in this world, it spirals into a mystery involving a missing groom, a stolen police car, a baby in the closet, Mike Tyson's tiger, and a mob boss named Mr. Chow. It's an escalating chain of ridiculous events where every new reveal is crazier than the last, and because the movie establishes early on that anything can happen, you never question it. In Anchorman, the 1970s news industry is less about journalism and more about ego wars that escalate into literal deadly
don't think I've
combat
ever
between
seen this
rival
one.
news teams, compete with tridents, horses, and someone catching on fire, and then casually returning to work like nothing
Low-key, bro, making movies like this would probably be so fun. I think I could make a good ass comedy movie in this day and age, bro.
happened. Anchorman is the perfect example of a comedy movie that dedicates almost all of its dialogue to do one very important thing: make you laugh.
Brian, I'm going to be honest with you. That smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
The amount
This
of
makes
quotable lines in this movie is unprecedented. It was even unique back then, but now, I mean, maybe you'd be lucky to get one or two quotables in a comedy movie. Dodgeball is about a Las Vegas dodgeball tournament for fully grown adults with a prize big enough to save a failing gym.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
What?
Damn.
They get their asses handed to them by a bunch of Girl Scouts, experiment with some interesting uniform styles, and Ben Stiller
I gotta watch this movie. I never seen this. So much is going on.
is in this film doing what he does best, playing the role of the villain. And what about Ted, which asks you to accept
Ted 1 and 2 and the show are the funniest pieces of media I've ever seen, bro. Ted is the funniest series I've ever watched. Movie wise, Ted, it is funny, dark humor, fighting, the punchlines, everything. It all matches so perfectly. It matches with my humor, bro.
without hesitation that a man's childhood teddy bear came to life, grew up with him, drinks, does drugs, and gets into full-blown relationships. And these are just some of the ultra
Perfect.
mainstream movies. Don't even get me started on Pootie Tang and Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. These are movies that are so absurd that you have to make sure you watch them with people who have the same humor as you, otherwise they'll look at you like you're crazy. There are very few comedies today that keep the spirit of this insane absurdity. However, Cocaine Bear is one that does come to mind, which is about an American black bear that eats a stash of cocaine that fell
Did it happen in real life too? Is that why they made this movie?
out of a plane smuggling drugs. The bear becomes highly aggressive, attacking and trying to kill hikers in its way.
Eating a whole brick of cocaine though, like that should have killed the bear. I think it did. I don't know what happened in real life, but it probably did kill the bear. It
While
had
the
to.
movie is just alright, I do respect the dumbness of this idea. It's not trying to be relatable, it's just leaning fully into a ridiculous premise and committing to the bit, and that's something we don't nearly get enough of anymore. Most modern comedy movies take the safe route. We get movies like Vacation Friends
Yeah, they take the safe route, but they're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, bro. They're too soft. They're scared to do dark humor around these days.
2, a generic sequel with the same recycled concept of a holiday gone wrong and being stuck surrounded by people with clashing personalities. Or The Man from
Project X.
Toronto, another Kevin Hart buddy comedy that is so formulaic it feels like it was designed for people to turn on and then fall asleep while the ads run. Comedies rarely go for absurd humor these days because, well, it's really difficult. Too open of a canvas can make it harder to build a story with structure. The freedom to do anything also means there's nothing stopping you from literally losing the plot, which is kind of what happened in Cocaine Bear. However, other great comedy
It's very easy to lose a plot when you just go off the grail. just go absolutely crazy with the stupid shit. You
Films
just
in the
lose
past
everything.
started with a lightly realistic framework, which only enhanced the absolute farce that took place during the film. Like Super Troopers, a movie about morally questionable cops. Sure, that sounds realistic, until you realize these highway patrol officers spend more time pranking civilians and messing with each other than actually enforcing the law. They behave in a way that doesn't even come close to representing reality, and none of them would still have jobs after these antics. But at the same time, it does make you think some cops might actually act like that in private. Or the 40-year-old
100%, 1000% they act like that in private, bro. Like when no body cams are on, when no one's around, bro, they joke and laugh and do dumb shit. Just like the fellas. Just, bro, it's
virgin.
nothing different.
Sure, it's very possible that a man could abstain or just not have the opportunity to have sex for half their life. And if you found that out, you might think, wow, that's interesting, and then move on. But the movie takes that basic, believable premise and pushes it into pure absurdity. It then turns into all of Steve Carell's co-workers dedicating their entire lives to getting him laid. And of course, stepbrothers. I have a stepbrother, tons of people have step-siblings. It's an extremely relatable experience, navigating new family dynamics and sharing space with someone you didn't grow up with. But in the film, nothing about that is relatable. We have two 40-year-old men with no jobs that spend their days building bunk beds, hanging out in a treehouse, and fighting like toddlers.
I didn't touch a drum set, okay?
I witnessed with my eyes your testicles touching my drum set.
All right, that's it!
A modern version of this absurd but also still upholding
I've
a
never
slight
seen this
realistic
movie.
framework
What the
is
hell?
the teen comedy movie Bottoms, which is basically just another silly high school movie, but through the lens of two queer students. The high school jocks in the film wear their full padded football
That reminds me of this other movie that was on Netflix. I forgot what it was called. He held a party, and it's not Project X. For his crush, I think he was trying to impress his crush, and like he did ketamine at the party. It's like the only thing I remember. He threw a party. And one of his friends or his brother was an asshole as well.
7 in class, at parties, while sleeping. It's obviously unrealistic, but it's a funny way of critiquing jocks that dedicate their entire personality to the sport they play. Oh, and a nice touch was throwing one of them in a cage in the classroom for absolutely no reason.
Try
What
telling
the-
Dimitri Walker that. Little mother came the first week and I ain't seen him since.
Dimitri Walker committed suicide the first week of school, Mr. Chief.
Okay, I gotta watch this. This looks interesting.
Sure he did.
The reason why most comedy films today feel like they are missing that ultra creative touch, at least according to legendary director and producer Judd Apatow, is because comedy writers these days are just less funny. He said, when you make the list of the best movies of all time, you're always going to put Airplane on it. And if movies like that aren't being made right now, it's because people aren't smart enough and funny enough to make them. Okay, so who would be smart enough or funny enough to write a modern masterpiece? Well, I've noticed that comedy films today seem to be missing actual comedians. And that's because some of the funniest and most popular comedians today are opting for something much easier and more profitable: podcasts. Before podcasts became wildly popular,
Yeah, going on podcasts, talking to people, like comedy shows and all that. That's all they're doing these days. Is there like any new comedians these days? New comedian actors? I never heard anything about a new funny actor in so long. It's just all unks, old heads that are still acting, that are funny.
comedians had essentially 3 routes to earn a career: get a job on Saturday Night Live, secure a TV sitcom, or get a role in a comedy film. The mainstream visibility earned through these avenues allowed comedians to fill seats in comedy clubs across the country. The vast majority of the comedians responsible for your favorite comedy films were originally platformed by SNL. Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, Will Ferrell, Mike Myers, Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, Kristen Wiig. I could keep going on and on. It was much easier for a current or ex-SNL cast member to pitch a movie to a major studio because they have already proven to the industry that they are funny. So when these comedians began to see success in films in the 2000s, they assisted in casting other comedy actors with a ton of potential. Actors like Jonah Hill, Zach Galifianakis, Paul Rudd, Vince Vaughn, Melissa McCarthy, Steve Carell were able to skip over SNL and go straight to the big screen. And it sounds painfully obvious to say, but I think a large reason why older films were funnier was because the funniest people at the time were either writing or acting in these comedy.
Yep, like there are barely any comedy actors out there now. All of them are just old.
Today, a comedian doesn't need SNL or a comedy film to determine their potential for a comedy career.
Yeah, they just
All
go
they
to a
need
comedy
is a
show or just social media. Literally, they make way more money. I don't know. I don't know if they make way more money off that. But like, people are just more on. Funny people are more on the social media side than like the big screen. So they don't need to be on the big screen to even promote themselves or anything, because they already got that big promotion. Everybody's on social media every single day. I still think that they should recruit them, and that would probably just bring the revival of comedy movies back, because there's a lot of funny people on the social media, and they could easily recruit a lot of people who could possibly be great actors. They could do both.
An hour a week behind a microphone, clip the best moments for TikTok or Instagram, and build a loyal audience online. You can skip Hollywood entirely and still sell out theaters on a national tour. I'm sure Theo Von could assist in writing or acting in a really funny movie if he tried, but why would he? With podcast ad revenue, Patreon subscribers, and live show ticket sales selling out all over the country, a lot of comics are making more money than they ever could from starring in a studio comedy without months of shooting, studio interference, or the risk of a box office flop. This shift is a huge win for independent comedians, but a huge loss for comedy films. The performers who would have once been fighting to star in the next Step Brothers or The Hangover are now trying to get a spot on the Joe Rogan podcast or be interviewed by Theo Von. They don't need to spend years chasing a studio deal, and they don't have to share their earnings with a production company. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, we can now hear from our favorite funny person every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, without waiting years for them to land a movie role. But the trade-off is that we don't get these larger-than-life.
All they can do is just spam, and spam different types of content every single day. Knowing movie industries today, they take forever on the movies.
Finding moments that comedy films used to create. Nobody is quoting a podcast episode 15 years later the way people still quote Anchorman or Superbad. Well, except this one.
My mother's very pretty.
She's a beautiful woman.
Unlike your cross-eyed mother.
Well, you don't have to.
I'm not Bobby Mata. I'm Bobby Mom.
And another big reason behind the decline of comedy films, as predictable as it is, I know, but we have to talk about cancel culture, because there are some components of this that make it a real factor. I think it goes without saying that most jokes these days receive backlash when they touch on political or social issues, but comedians have incorporated political undertones in their work for decades. Stand-up legends like Richard Pryor and George Carlin have long pushed boundaries and tackled sensitive topics like race, war, religion, gender, and government policies. The biggest difference is that in earlier eras, their controversial material was more likely to be seen as a part of their artistic persona rather than something to be taken literally. The same thing went for comedy movies. People generally understood that jokes were just jokes, with no intention of doing any actual harm. Then again, societal norms just simply change, and a lot of people today feel that making jokes or making light of very sensitive issues or topics is just not okay. We should not be joking about these things.
I don't know. It's like I understand certain things you shouldn't joke about. Of course, like wars just going on right now. Kids trafficking and all that. Of course, that's not funny. Some things that's going on right now we need to joke about.
1981 comedy movie Porky's involves male characters spying on naked female students.
It's like Prison School. This is like literally the first episode of Prison School. What is going on?
Then treated as harmless fun, but now recognized as harassment. The 1984 comedy Revenge of the Nerds includes a disturbing scene where a character disguises himself to trick a woman into sex, something that would now be recognized as rape, not humor. The 1994 film Ace Ventura: Pet Detective has been widely criticized in recent years for the way it mocks a trans woman. The 2001 comedy Shallow Hal centers on the idea that an overweight woman is only seen as attractive through hypnosis, promoting harmful stereotypes. 2007's Norbit has been criticized for its offensive portrayal of black women. The character Rasputia is depicted as an aggressive, loud, violent, hypersexual, and domineering woman. And there's even a scene in Step Brothers that makes
I mean, there's a lot of people out there like that though. Why would you get mad about that? Like if they're showing what type of people that's out there right now. So I don't know.
Unapologetic jokes about white supremacy.
Not even just black women. It could be any different race. not just black, bro. You can be any different race.
Chances are, if you rewatched any comedy film you loved in the past, you'll find a joke that either aged poorly or...
Okay, yeah, Madea is a good example, too. Madea is a really good example, but everybody loves Madea.
Maybe you just don't think it's funny anymore. That's normal. And it may seem like these jokes or premises were okay in the past and people didn't care as much, but that's not necessarily the case either. They just did not have the platform to express their opinions. Social media has given literally anyone and everyone a platform to express immediate feedback.
Yes, bro, they will go full ham. That's why I'm still confused on I'm still confused on why people think that dark humor with comedy movies will get a hella backlash, but social media is literally right there for your face, and you see it every single day. How would that make anything different? I don't understand.
Criticism, and this is a blessing and a curse. I and many other YouTubers literally benefit from this modern social media climate. We have no superiors that are controlling our opinions, deciding
people
who
laugh
we
at it
can
still
and can't criticize. But then again, I am also providing depth, research, and nuance to the videos that I'm putting out. I'm also not trying to say any actor or movie should be canceled, deplatformed, or lose sponsorship or business opportunities. Also, if you look at the positives, the exact opposite can happen. A movie or comedian that is overlooked by the mainstream or considered problematic could actually be really funny, and there will be online praise for it. A telltale sign is when the tomato meter from expert critics is super low, but the popcorn meter, which is fan reviews, is high. However, as we know, most of the problems don't come from people giving genuine, nuanced criticism, but rather those who get their fix by causing outrage. Someone can...
I really feel like professional critics are like just no need in society anymore. No one listens to the critics, so the critics don't I can say probably 75% of the time the critics don't know shit about the movie that they're watching at all. They don't know the lore behind it. They don't know the story behind it all, why they're making a movie. They're just here to watch it and to think and to see if it's good or not. The audience reaction should matter way more than the critics. I don't know why that's still a thing.
Release and live tweet how funny a movie is. You'll see zero effort Twitter rage baiters go viral with vague tweets like, "I can't believe y'all think this is funny," or "this is problematic," which seems easy to ignore, but it will genuinely make someone think, "Damn, I guess I shouldn't go see this movie," or "Am I a bad person for thinking this is funny?" And because social media rewards outrage, this can snowball into proof that the comedian, actor, or producer is a terrible person who is somehow unworthy of ever working again. People will read critical tweets with hundreds of thousands of likes, and they might disagree with what the people are saying, but because it has so much engagement and so many likes, it may...
See, especially social media, people are so easily influenced on other people's opinions and thinking that theirs is wrong because they see a mass group of it. The mass group is their own perspective. It doesn't make your perspective any less valuable. If you think the movie is good, or if you think the joke is funny, it's funny.
Makes people change their opinions, change their minds. Maybe this isn't funny. Maybe I shouldn't think this is funny. And before you know it, there is an all-out online war over what was meant to be a joke.
Got this whole other wave where like now you have these people who put themselves in the oddest position of being the curators of what was kind or unkind. This was okay, but this wasn't, or I cringe when I look back at this. It's like crazy. I think those are sometimes the cringiest.
The purveyor of
what is funny or what isn't. Like comedy's
yes.
a big tent.
It's ever evolving.
Like you okay, I understand you some things you find funny, some things you don't find funny, but that doesn't mean that everyone should think the same way as you in a certain type of humor. Like everybody has different types of humor. Everybody has different types of content that makes them laugh. You're not the creator of all humor, and you can tell anybody what is funny, what is not, bro. I hate people like that.
Be dictated.
Right. There's no.
And if you're angry at that, hey, that's you. That's you. That's a skill issue on your side. You just gotta be more funny.
Way to the waterfall. It's a crazy idea that this would sit up and say, here's how you do comedy. It's like, you got slipping on a banana peel to, totally odd conversations to, there's a wide range of what people find to be funny. And it's like almost like people that would like sit and overanalyze a situation to the point of making themselves feel really good about themselves.
And while you might think all of this is just easy to ignore, it's social media. It's not real. Just make the movie, right? Well, it's evident that major studios are a little hesitant to release a comedy with edgy or politically incorrect humor. However, actor Seth Rogen disagreed with this notion during an interview with Esquire magazine. The complaint that comedy is harder than it used to be is not a valid complaint. Maybe it was too easy before, and why should it be? Why shouldn't it be hard? I like that my job is hard because I'm trying to do something that requires a huge amount of resources and people's time and energy. What do you wish you could say? What do you feel has been taken from you? It's always funny when people are like, oh, they could never make the Diversity Day episode of The Office today. You can still watch it. I'm constantly meeting teenagers who love Superbad and who think it holds up, and none of them are like, how dare you have said that? And Seth does make some great points here. Studios can still make what—
and most of the time it's not even them. It's the studios. It's not the actor.
Whatever they want. There's nothing stopping them. And it's not objectively harder to be funny today. It just seems—
and if so, bro, just don't watch the movie if it doesn't make you feel good. If it's not funny to you, if it doesn't make you feel good, why do you care so much about trying to take it down or cancel it?
Seems like they are not being honest about what they actually think is funny, which is why these comedy movies come out with boring or sanitized humor. The reason why Superbad holds up is because it was honest about the way many teenage boys think and speak. They are rude, crass, always thinking about sex, insulting each other constantly, distracted in school, thinking about the weekends, and living life like they are invincible.
You just get out of here and we'll talk about this later.
Evan, we're down 2 points.
I gotta rewatch this movie.
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
You, man.
Hey, Greg, why don't you go pick your pants again?
That was like 8 years ago.
People don't forget.
They call each other gay, sometimes even using the F slur, even though that would widely be considered homophobic and a cancelable offense these days.
Oh yeah.
That's really messed up. Super gay.
The way they behave and talk is shocking and inappropriate, but that's what makes it funny because it is somewhat of a snapshot of reality, with the exception that like just the average teenage boy is not that funny. Now you might think this is problematic behavior, and maybe it is. So maybe the film is just not for you. But some take it one step further. They say a film like this is platforming and promoting this disgusting behavior. We are idolizing these morally bankrupt teenage boys, which will justify—
I mean, if this is not you, why do you care so much? If this is like, if you're not acting like this, why make it your own problem? I would never understand
behavior and maybe even inspire them to act in such a way. And hey, that could also be true too. But regardless of how you feel, the movie is good because it is honest. They went for it and they doubled down on it, even though it was politically incorrect. A modern version of Superbad wouldn't ever be made because they would be too afraid to offend anyone while providing a somewhat realistic depiction of a teenage boy who is gross and reckless with his words. And even if they did, they would probably add some tertiary—
that's how a lot of people—
character who steps in and tries to correct their behavior or be the voice of reason. Then again, sometimes being realistic is not funny. Like, look at the 2020 film American Pie presents Girls' Rules. American Pie is supposed to be a raunchy, disgusting depiction of the primitive young adult or teenage mind. Sex, drugs, partying. It's unapologetic and incredibly stupid. This modern version was supposed to be the same thing, but from the female perspective, looking to spice—
damn, is that bad? I gotta watch this. Bro.
Spice up their love lives before graduation, 4 female high school seniors band together to harness their girl power and get what they want from the boys. Let's just compare really quick. The first clip is from the original American Pie. This is how they wrote a female innuendo.
Oh, and this one time at band camp, I stuck a flute in my—
what?
Excuse me?
What?
You don't think I know how to get myself off? Hell, that's what happened. Band camp is. So, are we gonna screw soon? Because I'm getting kind of antsy.
I am learning that technology has given us incredible innovations in self-pleasure. And like whatever you're into, external, internal, rabbits, wands, vibrators, remote-controlled plugs, beads, Ben Wa balls, and wall balls. Oh yeah, I have 2 in right now. It is a very specific sensation.
What the hell?
Maybe this new version is funnier, and I'm just not the target demographic. So I'll ask my 20% female audience, what do you think is funnier? A girl saying, we don't need men, we have toys. Or a girl saying, I shoved a flute up it at band camp. The fear of being canceled is so apparent that studios seem to not even try to make a true comedy anymore. Some of the most highly rated comedy films in the 2020s aren't exactly praised for their straight up funny.
But I don't think it's that hard. I think they're just making it very hard for themselves because they know some people will just go off the. People will go crazy over a comedy movie that offends them. As long as you don't get a huge everybody at this point, as long as you don't get 90% of the audience to hate the movie because of what you did, that shouldn't fucking matter. I really think that's the reality of it.
It's a satire about a planet-killing comet that's clearly a metaphor for climate change, media distraction, and problematic politics, setting up the planet for failure. Do these comments look like they are for a comedy movie? I always respect a movie that has the balls to actually show the world ending. Every disaster movie starts with the government ignoring a scientist. We really did have everything, didn't we? Damn, that made me cry. You know what other comedies are extremely popular in the 2020s? Free Guy, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Do you notice anything different about these comedy movies? They are superhero movies. And don't get me wrong, they're entertaining, they're fun, but they're not comedies in the traditional sense. We get a lot of these films that are action first with humor as a seasoning, but ultimately, much like every other industry, the true reason why comedy films are not being made like they used to is because of, you guessed it, money. When it comes to movie theater ticket sales and financial performance, comedies have always been risky. While genres like adventure and action can have more of an
comedy movies these days, they're at the all-time low. Movies that are popular now is just nostalgia, action movies. Nostalgia and action movies. That's it. That's it. And drama.
Did success due to built-in spectacle, global appeal, and merchandising potential, comedies rely almost entirely on the jokes landing. What one person finds hilarious, another might find confusing, offensive, or simply unfunny. Jokes often rely on shared knowledge, references, or social commentary that might not translate across different cultures or age groups. A comedy scene that relies on American pop culture might fall flat for an international audience unfamiliar with these references. And on top of that, there's typically no giant CGI battle or billion-dollar franchise name to fall back on if the audience isn't laughing. Now, back in the day, plenty of comedies were huge financial successes. Meet the Fockers, The Waterboy, Wedding Crashers, 22 Jump Street, all grossing hundreds of millions of dollars in the worldwide box office, whereas others that are still considered good or cult classics underperformed in the box office. Adam Sandler's Billy Madison only grossed $26 million at the box office. Dazed and Confused only earned $8 million. Grandma's Boy, $6 million. And this was at a time when people were still actively going to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2002 when 1.5 billion tickets were sold. And although these films technically made more money than their budget, film budgets typically refer to production costs only. Marketing and distribution costs, also known as P&A, print and advertising, are handled separately, and these marketing costs can be in the tens of millions. However, where these films made their real money was in DVD sales. Also another thing of the past. DVDs, rentals, and cable syndication were...
I completely forgot about DVDs. Oh my god, I used to have so many Pixar DVDs. That's all I used to watch. Cars, WALL-E, Cars, WALL-E, Ratatouille. I used to watch every single Pixar animated movie that was out back in the day, bro. I loved every single one of them. The intro before it. It was so gas.
Were the lifeline for comedies that didn't crush it in the theaters. A movie like Billy Madison might have been considered a moderate performer at the box office, but once it hit Blockbuster shelves and played on Comedy Central every other weekend, it became a cultural staple. Those secondary markets gave studios the confidence to take a chance on mid-budget comedies because even if they didn't make their money back in the theaters, there was a high probability the film would eventually find its audience later. That safety net is now gone. Ticket sales are down down. Physical media sales have plummeted. Rentals are practically extinct. And while streaming might seem like a replacement, it doesn't generate anywhere near the same revenue for studios. Once a comedy film drops on Netflix or Hulu, the studio gets its licensing fee, and that's it. There's no long tail of DVD sales trickling in for years, no late night TV reruns keeping the movie in circulation. There is no second life. Judd Apatow confirmed this when he said, after the last writer's strike, it felt like the studios decided not to develop movies. They used to buy a lot of scripts, and they had big teams of people giving notes, and they worked for years with people in collaboration.
It's like they're scared of making new creative movies because they know they know it's gonna flop. If it's not good, they know it's gonna flop. Pixar now, the new animated movies that be coming out, bro, it just look like Fortnite animated movies.
Scripts. I feel like the studios don't buy as many scripts now. Today, every
fucking Elliot, I think that's his movie name. I don't know, something about aliens in the new Pixar movie, bro. It doesn't look appetizing. Looks like a real kid Fortnite movie.
Every comedy has to either perform in theaters that are half empty or immediately crush on streaming, or it's a total loss. So basically, comedy films just can't work in the modern era. Comedians are choosing podcasting and stand-up over film. The toxicity of cancel culture puts comedy films at risk to cause uproar, either immediately or years from now when people just decide the jokes are problematic. And combine that with no multiple streams of revenue to make back the investment, comedy films are a huge risk that most major studios simply aren't willing to take anymore. So you're just gonna have to find something else to laugh at.
And that's just all over social media. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. That's the best thing to do, low key. But yeah, hopefully comedy movies will make a return soon. Hopefully. But right now, social media would just have to do its thing.